How to stop overthinking. Why is it that a simple presentation, a simple text message, or a simple first date has the power to drive our minds into absolute mayhem? I spent the vast majority of my teenage years and early 20s overthinking. Being an overthinker means a few things. One, you're hypervigilant by nature. You pick up on the subtlest cues and they give you a lot to work with. They didn't reply back. Well, obviously it's because I'm not funny enough. Your colleague gave you a funny look. I always knew that she hated me. Like I always knew it deep down. Two, being an overthinker means you've trained your mind to work for you, but also against you. Overthinkers are intelligent people, some of the brightest, smartest people out there, but we're also highly critical of ourselves. I spent years beating myself up over little things I would say to someone 2 weeks ago, or an awkward moment that I had maybe a month ago. I would analyze and strategize what went wrong so that I could make sure to never do it again. I told myself that if I plan enough, think enough, and change enough, then I'll be happy. But the truth you're about to find out is none of that is true, and here's why. Hey, if you're new, I'm Christina and I make videos for people who are feeling lonely. If you're a people pleaser, overachiever, over anything, you're in the right place. Overthinking is really tough because we all want to overcome overthinking. Like we all want it to stop. It drives us insane. But the thing about overthinking is that overthinking makes us feel better. If you have a problem coming up or like a big moment, like if you've got a first date coming up with someone that like you kind of like and you want it to go well, it's really tough not to overthink. Like overthinking what you're going to wear, where you're going to go, how you're going to like ask them out, maybe what message you're going to send. Overthinking makes you feel like I've got some sort of control over this situation and it's going to go better if I plan things out. Like all I need to do is find a solution. All I need to do is figure out the perfect text. All I need to do is find the perfect outfit, then it will all be okay. But the important thing that I want to start off this video by saying to really help you understand like why you overthink and why it makes you feel good and better, but it also makes you feel terrible at the same time, is that overthinking has a negativity bias. Have you ever thought about the fact that you never overthink like how amazing your life is? Or you never overthink like, oh, how amazing your family is, how amazing your friends are, how you love everything going on in your life. Like you never overthink positive things. It has a huge negativity bias. I was watching a film recently, Inside Out 2. I was blown away by how good that movie was. I know it's a kid's movie, but trust me when I say it was actually very profound. Like there's a moment in the movie where someone's overthinking, they're really anxious and they're thinking lots of different scenarios, solutions. What do I do? Like, how do I make this situation better? And one of the characters literally says, more solutions, more. Like, let's think of another one. Let's think of another idea. Someone thinks of a positive idea and then the person's like, why would I need a positive idea? Like, that's not helpful. Think of negative ones. And that moment in the movie was really like, it actually took me aback because I never realized with my overthinking that I was actually fueled by negative stuff. Like my overthinking was fueled by like worry almost and like worst case scenario. What's the absolute terrible, most worst thing that could happen? Let me focus on that and let me not even entertain like positive ideas. And it's even in the literal definition of overthinking. Overthinking, sometimes called rumination, is the process of repetitive negative thinking. And from an evolutionary survival point of view, it makes perfect sense that you think about the worst case scenario or you think about all the negative outcomes, because thinking about the negative outcomes will actually make you live longer. Like if you overthink, I don't know, like dangerous or like scary events, then you're gonna avoid dangerous and scary events and potentially like avoid harm to yourself. Or say in like a romantic sense, if you meet a romantic partner or you go on a first date with someone and they have like some red flags and they're showing certain traits that might make you think that they could hurt you in the future or they might hurt your feelings and you avoid that, then that will actually prepare you and make you feel more satisfied in the long term. If you overthink social settings and new events, new parties, new social gatherings, and you're nervous about whether or not people will like you, or if you'll embarrass yourself and say something weird and funny. And in a social sense, you actually benefit from that because it means you're going to be accepted if you don't get rejected from everyone or if you don't embarrass yourself. Like all these negative things that you're overthinking, they do have like an evolutionary or survival impact.
Excessive overthinking happens because you are addicted to anticipating worst case scenarios, predicting all possible outcomes, needing to control everything, and not trusting other people, yourself, or life itself. As a child, you probably had chaotic parents and you had to be hypervigilant to avoid being told off, criticized, and to keep the peace. Overthinking became your comfort zone, your safety mechanism. As an adult, you may now find yourself in a good life where you're no longer in danger, but you're still operating on a system that is designed to cope with chaos. This is a terrible tragedy because you will create chaos within yourself where there is none, where you could be feeling peace.
He said a few really good points. The first point on like, you don't trust yourself, the people in your life and life itself, that is heavy. Another really good point he said is that it's now your safety mechanism, and even though you're in a safe situation now, you still can't let go of it. You're still stuck mentally in like the worried child or the in danger child that you once were, that needed the overthinking, and now you're that adult or maybe like late teen that doesn't need to overthink anymore. That's why sometimes I think with the self-improvement world or a bunch of these videos online, I feel like they can give you this message that you need to learn more stuff and like learn new tactics, read more books, when actually a lot of your transformation could come on just from unlearning things. For example, with overthinking, something is putting you in that survival mindset, making you think that like you need to plan, you need a solution, you need to plan for this worst case scenario. Actually, it's more unlearning. You're not threatened like that 7-year-old that you once were, or that 8-year-old. You are now a very capable adult that can plan for any sort of situation that could ever come, and you are always prepared. You don't even know how prepared you are, which is one of the scary things with overthinking. You're a little bit blind to how capable you are and how like rigid and resilient you are. You think that you need to be bubble wrapped and plan for every single thing, but actually, even if you never overthought again, you would still always be prepared. It doesn't matter what text you send to that person or to that girl or to that guy, like you would be prepared for any outcome. The problem with overthinking is that it means that you're prone to black and white thinking. Black and white thinking is a thought pattern that makes people think in absolutes. For instance, you might think that you're either always right or always the world's biggest failure. I used to be very prone to black and white thinking. For example, if I was going to, I don't know, like a party or something, I'd either think I'm going to get along really well with people and people are going to like love me, or I'm going to embarrass myself and I'm going to never want to see people ever again. In my presentation that I've got next week, it's going to go really well and I'm going to be like one of the best ones there, or it's going to absolutely flop and people are going to laugh and it's going to be like embarrassing. With a lot of overthinking, I feel like without even realizing it, like whatever situation you're probably overthinking right now, there's probably like an ideal and then like a worst case. And sometimes I think you forget that you're kind of like thinking in a very binary way, a very black and white way. Like you forget that there's actually 1,000,001 different scenarios that could have happened in the middle. When I did some research on black and white thinking, I found that it's a very like fear-based type of thinking. People that aren't worried or like anxious or like anticipating the future don't think in this black and white way. I honestly think 99% of like our lives is not black and white. 99% of our lives, I'm convinced, they're not the outcome that we would have exactly predicted or planned for. And also, because black and white thinking makes you think in extremes, this doesn't just go for scenarios or situations, but this also goes for like yourself. One of my biggest fears would be like embarrassing myself, or like going out and looking like weird or like awkward. Like I'd never like acknowledge that, Christina, you can say something weird, you can say something awkward, Christina, but you're not like a weird person or you're not an awkward person. Just because you have an off moment doesn't mean that you're an off person. I think with black and white thinking, you can wrap up like a slip up that you have or a setback, and you can make that represent who you are entirely. Ambitious people, I think, are really prone to black and white thinking as well, because say like you've got a certain goal you want to achieve at work, like a certain promotion, maybe a certain like, I don't know, a certain bonus you want to hit or something. You might think like, if I don't hit this level, like if I don't get this promotion, then I'm a failure. Like what's the point? It's either all or nothing. With black and white thinking as well, I almost think it's a little bit like childlike as well. Like the guy in that video, in that TikTok, was talking about how, you know, overthinking came as a survival mechanism or a coping mechanism when you were younger, but now you're a safe adult and you're still using it. I sometimes think when you're a child, to make sense of the world, you make things kind of black and white or yes and no or easy, hard. Like you make it really simple as a child just so that you can understand it, and it helps you figure out how to solve a problem, like as a kid. If you have a problem that has 2 solutions or 2 outcomes, I guess, versus a problem that has like 12 different outcomes, it's a lot harder to like navigate that and like plan properly for all of those versus just 2 outcomes. Black and white thinking can probably fuel your overthinking because you think it's just this or that. I get the promotion or I don't. I embarrass myself in front of everyone or I don't. Versus me now, I literally know there's 1,000,001 ways that things can pan out. Like last week when I was nearly late to my graduation ceremony and I was in the car like, I could be late. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh God, the clock is ticking. Like, I could be late to this. I was like, I don't know what can happen. Like I literally was sat there not really bothered by it. I wasn't overthinking. I was just listening to music in the car with my mum as my mum was panicking, because I was like, I literally don't know what's going to happen. I don't even feel the need to overthink. What I could come up with solutions in my head, And I just know now that they would all be wrong, because life is always so surprising. Like, things pan out totally different how you expect. That brings me on to one of the key like things I really want to say in this video. And one of the key things that I think will help you overcome overthinking is that overthinking is not about finding solutions. It's about maintaining control. I think the reason overthinking makes you genuinely feel better when you do like spend a half an hour deep dive on Google, like looking at Reddit and looking at what people say to do, and like how to word this message. How should I talk to my boss? Like, when you do spend a good amount of time overthinking, planning, it makes you feel better, not because you've got a solution per se, but more because you've got control. I feel like as an overthinker, there's an element of you that just hates being in like an unknown, like gray area. You hate not knowing what's going to happen. Like, if you don't know how to act and what to do and what's going to come up, like, it's just very, very unsettling. Like, it's almost like physically uncomfortable. Like, it's just itchy knowing that like life is surprising you and you're not in control. I saw a quote a couple months ago, and I think it really speaks to this point, which is, it said, worry is just the desire for a believable solution. Worry is just the desire for a believable solution. And the thing about overthinking, I personally don't think something is overthinking if it actually leads you to like take action. Like, if you spend a couple minutes or even an hour or two like worrying about something and you're not sure what to do, but you actually do speak to someone or send that email, or you do just send that text message, like you do something. I don't know if it's pure overthinking, because at least like you actually took action. It's overthinking if you go round in circles and you do draft up the text, but then you delete it again and you type it up again and you're not sure. Like, that is overthinking, because you're going back and forth. You're still in that worry state of finding a believable solution. You haven't quite found one yet. You're just going round in circles. In Inside Out, there's a scene in the movie where someone's worrying. They've got a problem they need to solve, and so the one of the characters is literally called anxiety, because the movie's all got like different emotions: joy, sadness, disgust. One of them is anxiety. Anxiety is like, let's come up with solutions, like more, like bigger, better. And it was interesting how, to a normal person, like you would have seen, like you see the volume of ideas that they have in the movie, like there's so many ideas, but anxiety is never satisfied with it. Like, it always wants more. It's almost like, for us, like in real life, like outside the movie, when we are anxious and we are overthinking, it doesn't matter the fact that you've got ideas. It doesn't even matter that your ideas are good. Like, your overthinking cares more about getting more ideas than the fact that it's already got a good idea. Like, with overthinking, the reassurance that you're looking for is not the fact that you've got an idea right now that's really good, it's going to solve the problem and everything's going to be resolved. It's just like it wants a constant stream of more. It's almost never satisfied in a way. Overthinkers typically have an image that they want to maintain. I think sometimes knowing that you are going to come across a certain way, whether it's to your colleagues or to a new girl that you're speaking to, or like to a new friendship group, I think you have an image that you want to maintain. And if anything threatens that image, or if anything says like you won't be seen as that to these group of people, you'll be seen as worse, you'll be seen as rude or entitled or like stuck up, like negative traits, then that is also going to kick in your overthinking, because you have an image that you really want to put across. It's almost like you're a perfectionist in a way. And sometimes I think that's why you might have struggles with your identity sometimes, because even if you're a young person, you're figuring out who you are, you've not fully become your whole self yet, you're still a young person. Your identity is more focused on portraying a certain image than it is being authentic. It matters more to you that everyone sees you as the straight A. For me, it was like, it matters more that people see me as the straight A student. I'm super athletic, I do all the sports, I'm super hardworking, like I always come in like similar outfit every day, I never deviate from like my black top, black trousers. Like, it's important that people see me as this person than it is that like I figure out who I am and show up as like my authentic self. You are going to be a natural overthinker if everyone else's opinions and maintaining that opinion matters more than your own opinion. I didn't have any bandwidth in my mind to think about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to wear, like what grades do I actually want to get? Do I even want to do all these sports that I'm doing? Like, my opinion was on the back burner and everyone else's perception mattered way more. It's almost like if I got enough approval from everyone else and I maintain that image enough, then I would approve of myself. Whereas now, like this is more a tip, like as now someone who doesn't overthink, like the world could literally be going to absolute chaos and I'd kind of just be like, well, it's another day, like what can I do? I'm so comfortable with not being in control, because I feel like control is like a bit of an illusion, but sidetrack. Because if you think about how life pans out, like life pans out based on so many different factors, but a lot of it is kind of like your actions, serendipity, like just things happening, right place, right time. A lot of it's out of your control. A lot of it is in your control as well. But if within the stuff that's in your control, which overthinking, you should only ever think about the stuff that's in your control. Never overthink about the stuff that you have no control over. Stuff that is in your control is like what you do, what you say, how you show up, how you present yourself. If all of that is based on other people's opinions, I feel like the way that you're leading your life is going to be in a weird, like, hazy direction that's not fully like where you want to go. Because okay, yeah, you want the approval of everyone else, sure, we can admit that to ourselves, because a lot of us live that life where you maybe can't be honest and say it, but like you do want your mum to approve of you, or you do want your friends to approve of you, you want that girl to approve of you, but their approval like buys you nothing. Like there is no currency attached to other people approving of you. There's nothing to gain, there's nothing that you win, there's no trophy when I don't know, the girl that you likes you back. Like you don't win anything with that. And I know because I've been there. I've done the thing of like getting the grades, going to medical school, graduating as a doctor. I've done the do all the championships, do all the sports, play netball, like I've done it. And like you don't win anything. What you do win is you learn a lot of life lessons though, and you can sit on YouTube and talk about it to some people. You do win that, but trust me, you'll be so much happier in life. And I just feel like you'll be a lot more comfortable, and the overthinking will slip and loosen, and like you won't have that inner chokehold anymore when your opinion comes first. And sometimes to realize that and to really like understand my opinion matters the most is you have to understand, what direction do I want my life to go in? Do I want to live life for other people? There's a book I read a few years ago which gave like some absolutely amazing tips on this. So I'm gonna share a bunch of tips for the rest of the video. The book is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, and it's by Mark Manson. And in the book he was talking about you have a limited amount of F's to give. Like in life, you cannot 100% care about everything. You cannot give 100% effort to your work life and your personal life and your health and fitness and your dating life and your family. Like you will exhaust yourself, and I've definitely done that, trying to care about everything and maintain an appearance for all the things in your life. What's helped me over the years is just you literally have to, by choice, or you're going to burn out and then you're going to have to make a choice. You have to choose what matters to you. Does how you come across to your friends at school, does that like really truly matter to you? Like does it really deeply like do something for you? Or does a life where you kind of get along with some people at school, you don't get along with a bunch of others, but you don't care? What really matters to you though is like your close friends and close family. Like you have to choose what matters more. And don't do it in a black and white way. Like don't do it in a way where it's like everyone hates me or everyone loves me, because that is not, we've come to realize that is not how it works. You can have a life where you don't prioritize certain things. Like for example, I don't prioritize, but when I was at uni, I didn't like prioritize how people saw me. Like I would not make any effort to like maintain an appearance or like maintain that people think I'm really nice, and like I really want to make sure people think I'm polite and like a really good person and like I'm on time to everything. I always do things well. Like I don't care. Like that is not my priority. For you, similarly, like okay, work, in the bubble of work, there's so many things in that. There's like your colleagues, then there's your bosses, then there's the quality of your work. I feel like you have to choose what matters. Like I didn't make like impressing people at my med school a priority, but I still think I did impress people in some other ways, but it wasn't my priority, if you get what I mean. For example, you could make the quality of your work the priority and you can care about that. And in a way that could actually make you get along with your boss and along with your colleagues, but that still isn't a priority of yours. Like you don't fully care about it. Things can have a knock-on effect, which is why if you want to conserve your energy and make sure that you're not driving yourself insane, care about a few things. And I promise the things that you care about will actually have a knock-on effect on the others. Overthinking stops with action. I think I said earlier in this video that I don't think something is overthinking if you do take an action with it and stick by it. It's only overthinking if you're going around in circles thinking that another idea will come to me. I'll think of something better, like that's not good enough, better, more. And I'm a big believer in, say like it's a text message or like an email that you're worried about, like you don't have to do it perfectly. That is such a fallacy. Like there is no sort of perfect thing that you can say or text. Do it badly. Like I can't count the amount of times like I've been worried of what to say to someone. Like I have to break bad news or I have to like say something really tough. I like to call this like the 80% rule. Like if you've got something that, if you're typically a perfectionist and you make things perfect or amazing before you're ready and before you're happy with it, just find the 80%. Like if you've drafted up a text message, make it just 80% good enough. Like, okay, that's 80% of the way there. I'll send that. Or if you're trying to come up with like the perfect outfit to wear on like an important meeting or an important day, find an outfit that's 80% good enough. Like it's nearly there. It's kind of good enough. That'll do. Like just wear that. That 80% rule, I use it all the time. Like even trying to get up out of bed. Like if I'm sat there in bed and I'm like, I don't really want to get up, like I can't be arsed, I'll feel like 80% ready and then I'll just do it. And normally as soon as I think of like the 80% rule and I'm like, oh, I feel 80% now, like I just get up straight away. Next time you overthink, whether it's an outfit, a text, a meeting up with someone, like what you're going to say to someone, Think of what's 80% good enough and just go with that. Sometimes taking action isn't sending that message, the half-hearted one that is just good enough and you've just pressed send. Sometimes it's literally just sharing your problems. When I was really, really miserable in med school, like I'd failed one of my exams that I'd worked so hard for, and I was literally like, my confidence was in the bin. Like I felt so low. I felt really miserable. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I tried so hard and all of it was for nothing. I think it went 6 weeks of being anxious and really low and just depressed before I actually told my mum and was like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm sure you probably noticed that I've been acting different and like not sleeping as much and like not looking after myself, and like this is why. And even just getting it off my chest made me feel insanely better. If you are overthinking and you're going around in circles, a huge one is just to share your problem with someone. I'm sure you probably have an idea of who you can trust to share your problems with. I think a lot of overthinkers are just intelligent people, weirdly enough. Like overthinking can be a superpower in a way, because it in work and in school, thinking a lot and overthinking can probably get you like really good grades and like amazing achievements, but then it can rub off in so many other areas, and it can make you super miserable and super like unhappy, which is a shame. But I talk about this a lot more in my You're Not Boring, You're Just Intelligent video. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy that one as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.